Hey, BassGeek here, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite summertime, heck, one of my favorite anytime lures for bass, and that is the hollow body swim bait. Guys, as you know, I'm a big swim bait fan, and if I had to pick one style of swim bait, it's going to be the hollow body soft plastic swim bait. One of my favorite hollow body swim baits, and you'll see me, and you have seen me in a lot of my videos use this bait a lot, and that is the Strike King Shadowlicious. It is a ghost shad, and the reason I like the ghost shad, you can see here, it's very translucent. And the lake that I call my home lake, which is a small lake just about 20 minutes from my house, is very, very clear water. So if I want to go after those big bites with a swim bait, I need something that's as translucent as it can be. And this is the most translucent hollow body swim bait I've found on the market. And trust me, I've looked. If you guys know of one, let me know. I will be glad to try it out. So there's two different ways I like to rig it. This is an exposed hook. You can see I've got it rigged. This is a LedgeHead. There's several different jig heads on the market that you can use for exposed, but I am a big fan of this head because of that keeper, and it really keeps the bait in place, because when you catch fish on these, they can really tear up these hollow bodies, and that keeper will really keep your bait together for a lot longer and save you a lot of money. The other way, and one of the ways that I'll fish it in this lake, this is a very deep mountain reservoir, highland reservoir with very steep banks. Most banks in this lake are 45 degrees or even more. So there's a lot of laydowns, a lot of brush, a lot of limbs that fall in this lake. So a lot of stuff to get snagged on. Not a lot of grass, but this would also work well in grass. And the other way I like to rig it is on a belly weight. This particular weight is one of my favorite. It's a VMC swim bait hook. It's got the belly weight. That is a 3/8 ounce. It's hard to find anything above a 3/8 ounce in a belly weight that's going to work on the 5 and the 5.5 and the 6 inch and not come way down the tail and really hurt the action of the bait. What I like about this is you can take and basically expose that hook, and it makes it very, very snag proof. And so you can throw this in places like you would throw a spinner bait. It can really take the place of a spinner bait in a lot of situations and draw those big fish out of heavy cover. What gear do I generally use? The gear that I generally use, you can see this is a Veritas. I've got a couple different rods, but I like a medium heavy 7 to a 7'6". I like a 7'6" because most of the time I'm going to fish these deep. It's one of my favorite ways to fish them during the summertime. So I want to make as long of a cast as I can to cover as much ground as I can. I'm going to fish it on a 6/4-to-1 reel. I do not want it on a high-speed reel. 6/4-to-1 is perfect, and the reason why is because I'm not burning this back. I want it to stay down. Most of the time, I'm going to have it fishing on the bottom or in deep water, and so I want it to stay down. So a 6/4-to-1 is plenty. It keeps me from overpowering the bait and keeping the bait closer to the bottom and not rising or at that depth level. Everybody's different. Try whatever you want. Sometimes what works for me won't work for you, but that's my recommendation. I would fish it on a 6/4, somewhere in that medium range, 6 speed action. Line is very important also. Don't overpower this. Even if you're throwing it up into some heavy cover, the most I'll throw this swim bait on will be 17-pound test. I have been known to flip a swim bait sometimes, flip or pitch it. Now that's a little different. I'm going to throw 20 plus fluorocarbon, or even heavier braid if I'm in grass. Generally I don't do that, however. I will, most of the time, 12 to 15-pound test, and that's it. I throw it on fluorocarbon. I want to feel everything. If I'm dragging it across the bottom, if I'm dragging it through brush, I want to feel every tick, and it's very important to feel those ticks. Now, the retrieve. There's a lot of different retrieves. Mix it up. My two favorite retrieves: throw it out, let it sink to the bottom, and slowly, and I do mean slowly, grind it back to you. Let it just barely move or creep across the bottom. The other that I like, if I find bass feeding on shad, the shad spawn. If they're schooling up during the summer, chasing shad in a certain area, one of the things that I like to do is kind of drive over, see what the electronics tell me, the shad, how deep they are. And you'll drive across the ball of shad and they'll be from 5 foot, and the bottom of that ball of shad on your depth finder will be at 10 foot or 15 feet. So I'll actually, depending on the weight that I have on the swim bait, I'll count it down. I'll make sure I know how fast that bait is dropping, and you can do that just simply by dropping the lure over the side and counting to 5 and seeing how many feet it dropped on your line. So I'll drive across those shad. I'll see what the bottom of those shad are, and generally I'll count it down so I want the swim bait coming just underneath that ball of shad. So if the bottom of the ball of shad is 10 feet, I'm going to count it down to 10 feet, and I'm going to reel it in a manner that's going to keep it at 10 feet deep. If you don't have electronics to be able to do that, just experiment with it. Throw it out there one time, let it sink to the bottom. Throw it out there another time, let it give it a 5 count, give it a 10 count, just give it, try different casts in the same spot, or just fan cast if you're standing on the bank. Just give it, a few different retrieves and see what works. So those are my two favorite retrieves when I'm on the lake. You can do a stop and go. You can do a rip and settle. There's just a lot of different ways to fish this swim bait, and be creative. Think outside of the box. Don't just take the things that I tell you. Go out and try something different. Come up with your own retrieve, and hey, leave it in the comments. Let me know if it works. It's, so I can give it a shot. These are my favorite two that seem to produce the most of the time for me. All right, guys, so get out there and throw a swim bait. Learn how to fish a swim bait. Don't be afraid to throw those big swim baits. Don't be afraid to throw those bigger baits in clear water. As always, comments in the comments section, questions in the comments section. I'll always get to those. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Share it with a friend if you do like it. And you guys rock, man. Go catch some swim bait fish.